gonna have Thanksgiving in a bowl. Stick around to see what we mean by that. Greetings from Canada. It's our Thanksgiving weekend, and by the time we post this, it'll be to get ready for American Thanksgiving. But for people around the world, you might just like this dish because it's super duper awesome tasty. Right, Willie?
Or a festive holiday in your country.
Where do you live and what festive holidays do you like? And what are the dishes you have? Let us know in the comments down below. Maybe we'll make an international festive video. That's a fun idea. So welcome to or welcome back to PB with J.
And W.
For the day, for today.
I'm here every day.
She is here every day. So today we're doing something a little bit different. We thought that we would make something kind of unique for the holidays, but still sticks to what we do really, really well. We kind of have the same holiday meal whenever there's a holiday season. Whether it's like Easter or Christmas or Thanksgiving, we kind of make this. But we've always had a bit of an issue with what we call Annie's loaf. How's the loaf, Annie? Which is like a lentil loaf, I guess you'd say. She's never liked any, so this is like cobbled together of a bunch of different recipes we've tried over the years. But the problem with it is it's super dense. And so it takes a while to cook and set, so you almost have to make it in the morning. And we didn't want to do that. We still like it, and the kids love it the way it is. But for us, we thought, what if we tried to make them more like balls? Like falafel kind of things. And cook them in the air fryer. And if that would be easier to cook, more consistent, and maybe even better because of more texture. So what we're going to do to make this Thanksgiving in a bowl is we're going to make our plant-based mashed potato. We're going to roast a couple of vegetables. What are you going to do?
We're going to roast some carrots, and I planted and grew some little squash. I think they're acorn or pepper squash. And so I'm gonna roast those in the oven because I grew them and now I want to eat them.
So we're gonna do that, some peas, and then we're gonna make our mushroom gravy, which is it's not a holiday without us having that for sure. And for dessert,
pumpkin pie, and I made my grandmother's Pennsylvania Dutch apple pie, but I changed her recipe to be whole food plant-based.
And there's a rumor that one of these two pies might make it into our cookbook that is coming out in just a few weeks. What should people do?
They should pre-order the cookbook
and
for 20% off.
Whoa!
I'm giving a deal right now, 20% off.
I was gonna give you 10. Anyway, the link's down below. Pre-ordering is lovely for us because it lets us know that people actually want it. And it motivates us to finish it because we're still working away on it. But because we want it to be great. So get it there, 20% off until the release date, which we'll also post here because honestly, I don't know it right now. But I will by the time I post this video. So if this sounds interesting to you, stick around and we'll show you how we make it. But first, we'd like to say hello to some of the people who've said hello to us in the comments down below.
Julie in Tucson, Arizona.
Lisa from Menominee, Michigan.
Greg from San Diego, Cottage Grove, Oregon.
Adriana from California.
Anna from NYC.
Suzanne from Prescott, Arizona.
Amy from Grand Ledge, Michigan.
Dorothy from Enid, Oklahoma.
Ann from Portland, Oregon.
Kim from Michigan.
And Amy Jo, farm raised from Vermont.
If you'd like a shout out here on the channel, what do they gotta do, Willie?
You gotta join our... Wait, no, you just have to comment below with your name and where you're from.
But if you want to get a bump up on the shout out list,
because it's a long list, you can join our members only
Mighty Network. There's PB with J 2.0. Lots of other perks including that. And you can get it for like the price of a crappy cup of coffee a month. Let's make some food. So to make that Thanksgiving in a bowl, we have to start with our Annie's Loaf balls. We're gonna workshop that title. We're gonna take some onions, some garlic, and some walnuts and process them inside of our food processor. And then we're gonna add basically the rest of the ingredients for this thing inside of there. And we are gonna blitz the heck out of it until it's really nice and uniformed. The one challenge with this dish is you have to do a little bit of prep in advance. You have to make some oatmeal, you have to make some lentils, and you have to make some quinoa. So it takes a little bit of time to prep those things. It's not a ton of time. They all cook really, really quick. Now, normally when we're making this, we pour this all into loaf pans and we bake it in the oven that way.
It looks so bad before you cook it. It looks like tuna. Wait, let me smack it down.
Oh, great. Yeah, I don't need to spread it. Okay, now we're going to put some barbecue sauce on top.
Wait, I want to spread it on top.
Okay, you want to do it? Okay. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to try cooking it in the oven and the air fryer and see which one works best. So we're going to just use a cookie scoop to scoop this onto parchment. And then we're gonna slather that with barbecue sauce of your choice. Obviously, use a low sugar and an oil-free one if you can find one, or a homemade one's great too. We're gonna air fry it at 375 for like 22 minutes, probably flipping it about halfway through. In the oven, we're gonna try it at 425 and do it for about the same amount of time. Same thing, flipping it halfway through and adding a bit more of the barbecue sauce on top. So for Willy squash, we cut it in half. We scooped out the insides, and then you put a little bit of seasoning.
Well, you just scoop out the seeds. You know, if you scoop out the whole inside, there's nothing left.
That's what you know. What I meant like the guts inside of the squash. Put them upside down in the oven because it helps cook them more evenly because you're getting steam from inside of it. So you're steaming the inside of the flesh, and it doesn't like burn it so much. You know, it gives that crust sometimes.
Yeah.
So it just cooks it better. That's how you should cook squash.
And it took they were pretty small. You'll see they're about this big. But it took about 30 to 40 minutes, I would say.
All right. And then we roasted some carrots just by tossing in an aquafaba. Mm-hmm. How long did you roast those for?
I kind of just left them for a long time, like probably 45 minutes. Carrots take a long time and they don't seem to burn, or they just kind of... Yeah. So they were fine. I just kind of left them for a long time. For the mashed potatoes, you're going to cut the potatoes into some large chunks. Put the trivet in the Instant Pot. Pour in like an inch of water. Put the potatoes on the trivet and cook it for 10 minutes. And then while those are cooking, we're going to soak like a half a cup of cashews because we're going to cream those up with some plant-based milk and make it just to help make the whipped mashed potato creamy stuff. Yeah. It's good. And for peas, we're just taking frozen peas and we are steaming them on the stove in a basket with a little bit of water underneath it. And then for the gravy, we are going to cut up like probably 1 to 2 cups of sliced mushrooms along with a small onion. Cut that up. You're going to put those in a pan and just get those cooking until they get a little translucent, like 4 to 5 minutes. Then you're going to add in some tamari or soy sauce along with the vegetable broth. And this is where we would put butter in if we were using butter. But I'm going to put Aquafaba in today just to make it a little creamier. Then we're going to take that up to a simmer. And then we are going to slowly add in like a 1/4 cup of whatever flour you want. I'm using brown rice flour here, but if you want to use whole wheat flour, you can use whole wheat flour. Pretty much any flour will work. But add in a little bit of time whisking around so you don't get any clumps. And then once it starts to thicken, you can take the temperature down and add in like a half a tablespoon to a tablespoon of poultry seasoning and a little bit of salt. And then just let it thicken a little bit. And that's it. That's the gravy. Is that everything? Did we get it all? Mm-hmm. So to build the bowl, you can build it however you want. I like to put the mashed potatoes at the bottom and then kind of layered everything on top. And then put gravy on top of that. And then the cranberry on the side. And I'm happy to report that the balls turned out really, really well. Let's eat! So we can successfully say that the Annie balls are equally as good, if not better, maybe for cooking wise anyway, as the loaf.
I like the loaf better, and I'm Annie, so.
You?
Loaf. I mean, yeah.
What if you did this though? What if instead of balls you just shaped
mini loaves?
Shaped pieces.
Oh, what if we got those mini loaf pans?
So that it would be
Anyway, it works. And we all like it in different forms, and that's a good thing. This is a good fight to have.
So today we're going to make some Thanksgiving pies. The first one we're going to make is an apple pie with a gluten-free vegan crust, but you can also make it non-gluten-free if you want. So basically it's almond flour and some whole grain flour. So I used brown rice flour, a bit of tapioca starch, a bit of salt, some date sugar, some water, cinnamon. So basically you mix the dry ingredients together in a bowl, and then you add 5 tablespoons of water, stir it up. If it's not really sticking together yet, there's lots of dry bits, that add a tablespoon or 2 more of water. What you want is for the dough to be able to push together when you press it together with your hands. It should be able to form a ball. Then you're going to roll it out into a 12-inch circle on parchment paper, and then flip it over into your pie plate. Prick it with a fork. Well, actually, flatten it down, pinch the edges, poke it with a fork a few times, and pop it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 10 minutes just to pre-bake the crust. And while that's happening, you're going to work on the apples. So peeling the apples, cutting them up into the size pieces that you like best. Some people like their apples really thin. I like mine kind of chunky. So fill the pie plate. I used, I think, 5 or 6 large Cortland apples. So you can use that as well. Or you can use whatever you want for apples. Sprinkle a little cinnamon on top, and then you make a kind of a sauce that goes on top, which is some flour, some date sugar, and then instead of using butter, as my grandmother did, I used 2 tablespoons of almond butter. And then you use some warm water, and I kind of just poured it on until it was a spreadable consistency. So, and then it also has like cinnamon and nutmeg in it as well. So spread it over the apples. I think next time I might try and make it a little more runny and try that. But I think it's still going to be delicious. In fact, I know it is because I've made it before and it was great. So that is the apple pie. The second pie I'm making today is a pumpkin pie. And for this crust, I did a different crust to make it exciting for the people eating the pies. And I made a pecan and date crust. So you use some oats, put those in the food processor along with dates. No, wait.
Date powder?
Hold on. Oh, pecans. Pecan crust. It's got pecans in it. I can't believe it is
This
that.
just in! Pecan crust, now with pecans!
You use rolled oats, a cup of rolled oats, and 2 cups of pecans. And I put in 4 grams of dates, approximately. I'll tell you how much that is in cups. Jeremy will write it down on the screen. Because I kind of just threw them in. A bit of salt, and then you blend it all together in the food processor until it can stick together. So you'll hear a change in the sound of the food processor as it's mixing the things together, and you'll know it's getting more soft and more a better ability to stick together. If you find that it's not sticking together, you try to pinch it and it just kind of crumbles, then you probably need more dates, or your dates were hard. So if you're starting off, actually, my dates were super soft, so I didn't do anything to them. I just threw them in. If your dates are older, or you're finding like they're a bit hard, it's a great idea to soak them in some boiling water for 10, 20, 30 minutes before, so that they're more able to bind with the other ingredients. So mix that all together in the food processor until it's sticky enough to stick together, and then put it in your pie plate. Press it down on the bottom and on the edges. It was actually kind of thick for my pie plate, which I think is an 8-inch pie plate. So if I did it in the future, I might just not use it all. Make 2 pies. I'm not really sure, but it's going to be a thick crust. But maybe we'll really love a thick crust. I don't know. So then I poked it with a fork, popped it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 10 minutes to pre-bake the crust. While I was doing that, I started to prepare the pumpkin pie filling. Again, in the food processor, I threw in the pure pumpkin, 1/3 of a cup of date sugar, 3/4 of a cup of plant milk. I think I forgot the vanilla. Pumpkin spice, a tablespoon of pumpkin pie spice, and some salt, and then 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. You just throw it all in, blend it all together till it's smooth, and then once the pie crust is out, let it cool for 5 minutes or so, then pour the filling in, spread it evenly, and pop it in the oven, again at 350 degrees for about 55 minutes.
And for the top of that pie, I want to make an Aquafaba whip. You've seen me make this kind of stuff before on the channel, but here I am making it again. So I'm taking 3/4 of a cup of my homemade Aquafaba. If you don't know how to make Aquafaba, I've got a link in the description down below for a video where I show you how to make it. We're gonna take the Aquafaba and we're gonna put that into our mixer. We're gonna put that on high and we are gonna add in a 1/2 teaspoon of cream of tartar. And then once it starts to come together, which this stuff is coming together so beautifully, this is because it's that homemade stuff that really just sits and soaks and just gets all those like chickpea proteins. And then 1 tablespoon at a time, we are gonna add in our sweetener. Here we're using just date sugar. It's a nice whole food plant-based ingredient. I've also used maple syrup, which can make it a little too moist and take longer to whip. Icing sugar also works, but it's a processed ingredient. This stuff's great. You can get it on Amazon. That's where we got it from. And then you're just gonna keep on whipping that until nice stiff peaks form. It should take about 10 minutes or less. And then if you wanna add any extracts, flavor extracts, here for this, we just wanna put a little vanilla in there and a little bit of fresh lemon juice if you got some. Like a teaspoon is enough. Thanks for joining us for our Thanksgiving in a bowl meal, dinner video. Gobble gobble. What should people do if they like this video?
They should press the like button and subscribe.
Yeah. So
and join the Mighty Network for a crappy cup of coffee.
No, that's not what you get at the Mighty Network. Anyway, do that, and YouTube thinks you should watch this video next. This one right here.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's go watch it.
Let's go watch it right now. Let's go. Bye. We're gonna go watch the video.